Diane, what time is it?
11:30.
Really? It's that late?
Yep. Sleeping on cold, hard surfaces will do that.
That's well within specifications. You might take a quick look over the setup to make sure we didn't miss anything. After that, you can move on to the next module. Nice of you to make it.
Sorry about that. I was reading my mother's final report again. How's Diane doing?
She's finished 2 modules already, and just about wrapped up a 3rd one.
Her bio readings are fine.
Control, engine. Ready to proceed to module closure and locking procedures.
Acknowledged.
Control, research.
Stewart here. What do you need, Jacob?
If you have some time, there's something I wanted to bounce off you.
Can you handle things here?
I can manage.
On my way. Control out. I'll be in research. If you need anything, Bo, call me.
Engine control.
Diane here. Gordon?
Your hubby was called to research by your brother. Looks like it's just you and me.
You'd think with only 4 of us, we could refer to everyone by their first names.
It's good to keep reminded of such relationships. But if you're having trouble remembering, Stewart is your husband and Jacob is your brother.
Does this mean you're going to force your utterly dull sense of humor on me the rest of my shift?
It's not like I have anything better to do.
Module 14A is closed. Moving on to 15A.
Acknowledged.
Gordon, are you still there?
Where else would I be?
Talk to me.
About what?
Anything. I just need to hear a nice human voice.
All right.
Gordon.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're putting me on the spot.
Come on, there's got to be something on your mind.
Well, I did have an interesting conversation last night with your brother. Excuse me, Jacob. He was lecturing me on our, well, at least his, pending doom.
Oh, that lecture.
What's surprising is that he's starting to make some sense. As much as I want to believe he's just being pessimistic, what he says does kind of scare me. It has a certain cold logic to it. What if he's right?
What if he is? What can we do about it? You, Stewart, and I have a clear mission. We have to get this ship back to Earth in one piece with everyone alive and in good health. Jacob has more to be concerned about. From that perspective, I can somewhat understand him.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just that this whole thing has been bugging me since last night.
Don't apologize. Like I said, I just want to hear the sound of your voice.
Computer. Play GBT transmission received this morning. Voice print authorization, Jacob Rainwater.
As much of a pain as your brother is, he's a damn good scientist.
Am I just imagining things, or were you the one who said you didn't want to talk about him?
I'm not really talking about him, just his scientific ability.
Don't try to drag me into an argument of definition. I'm not in the mood. So, what was it Jacob did that impressed you so much?
He's analyzing the EM data we collected from the synchronous orbit satellite. He thinks he found what may be a transmission of some sort.
Are you trying to tell me that you abandoned me today to look at radiation patterns?
Diane, it's amazing. Several of the frequencies show some very odd discrepancies we can't account for. Jacob thinks it might be some form of communication.
Already jumping to conclusions? That's not like him.
He's not jumping to conclusions. He's just recognizing the possibility. You should take a look at his evidence.
Forgive me if I want to go just 1 week without thinking of New Terra. I'm sure whatever the two of you are researching is something else. After the maneuver.
Computer. File message into my personal directory and delete all other copies. File documents 2875 Alpha through Charlie in personal directory. Place all transported files under personal encryption lockout. Good. Now delete all copies of these files with universal access and defragment memory. What would you say now, Gordon? Is this really the life you would choose for yourself? Would you still respect our parents knowing what their lack of intelligence led us to? I'll let you keep your little fantasy for now. It's not really your fault.
How's it going?
Diane is finished with the primary maintenance, and the computer's just finished chewing on the navigation figures.
When's the final maneuver?
3 days.
Wow. The final maneuver. Amazing, isn't it?
We're almost home, Gordon. So, what did you really want to ask me?
I take it Jacob went over the odd signal from New Terra with you.
Yes, a couple days ago when I left you in here to watch after Diane.
Have you read Helen's report?
Jacob only brought it up about a week ago, and I never thought to look at it before.
I don't have access.
What?
Jacob locked it out. He put it in his personal directory.
You're kidding.
Try it yourself.
Well, I'll be. You're right.
All forward sections outside the engine have been checked out, tested, and secured. We've run a full inspection on the forward and midship maneuvering rockets. Aft rockets and the engine core have been checked by computer.
I hate doing this without manually inspecting the aft section.
So do I. However, I think the odds of anything back there malfunctioning are slim.
The issue is moot. If we can't detect a clear problem, I cannot authorize anyone to go back there. We just slowed down a year ago. There's still enough radiation back there to cause permanent tissue damage and probably cancer.
We know, Gordon. It's just we've been taught from the first time we were showing this room. Check everything before you do anything.
I can understand that. I'm not much of a risk taker myself.
I say we call it a day. I want tomorrow's maneuver to go flawlessly. I want all 4 of us here in control at 0900. Diane, could you tell Jacob?
He'll be there. He can object all he wants, but I can cut off power to the research room. I set the computer to wake you up at 8. We're meeting in control at 9. Stu wants you up there to help out when we make the last maneuver. I think it's a good idea. You need to get away from your own work for a little while. Sometimes you're a real pain in the behind, my little brother. I know Stu and Gordon don't really understand you. I can't say I understand you completely. But I know you have something I sometimes wish we all had. You have a real drive, a desire. A desire for what? That leaves a question, but that's for you to deal with. I need to start realizing I can't tell you what to do anymore. It was easy when I was 7 and you were 4, but now those 3 years don't mean nearly as much. I love you, Jacob. You'd think I could tell you this when you're awake, but I just can't find a way to put it that isn't corny. I'll see you tomorrow.
There's one thing I wish this ship had.
What's that?
A window. Just one big glass window. In all the telemovies, it seems that when the protagonist has a major personal decision to make, he turns his head up and looks out the window. Be it toward the night, the stars, or a rain-soaked street. But he's not looking to something he can physically see. For some reason, just looking out there gives him more of a connection to himself. At least that's what I've always assumed.
And you're looking at a star field?
It's not just any star field. It's the view of the forward camera. Those stars are out there right now. We could really see them if we only had a window.
Are you looking toward the stars?
I'm trying. It's just that all I can see are these light emissions produced by this damn display I waste too much of my time watching.
Well, if someone can look out a window and see himself, why can't you look at a telemonitor and see the stars?
I suppose I could, but looking at a telemonitor and seeing the stars and then seeing myself, that's a bit of a stretch. You don't often come in here at this late an hour. I either end up alone or just end up arguing with Jacob.
He finally worked himself to sleep tonight. I had to put him to bed, just like Mom used to all the time. I told him that I loved him. I haven't said that to my brother in years. He was asleep. I didn't want him to hear it, but I needed to say it. I have this feeling of finality about what's going to happen tomorrow. The last maneuver before heading home. For some reason it scares me, Gordon. I can't quite put my finger on it. How about you? Why are you always here at this part of the day?
The truth.
The truth.
I can do in here just about everything I can do in my cabin. It's just that in here, I tend to get a chance to talk to people. Sure, it's the same 3 people, but I'd rather argue with Jacob than watch one more telemovie about a world I've never seen. And I hope
For what?
that maybe someone other than Jacob will walk through that doorway and see me staring at the image of a star field on the telemonitor. Someone who will listen as I explain why I wish there was a window on this ship.
Diane, Stuart,
Yes, dear.
we've got to get a full night's sleep.
I'm coming. I guess I better get going.
I guess you'd better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is everyone clear on what it is they have to do? Each of the displays will have the timing sequence. The computer will trigger the changes automatically. But in case we have to override, I want to make sure we can run this smoothly. Until then, we'll need to monitor and make sure everything's within limits. If you see any discrepancy, anything at all, report it immediately. Let's get to our maneuvering stations. We've been through this before. Fortunately, this is a minor correctional maneuver that we're spreading out over several hours. The forces shouldn't be too bad. I need a go, no-go from each station. Engine.
Go.
Maneuvering thrusters.
Go.
Navigation.
Go.
Controls go for maneuver. Computer beginning countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Stu, if I'm reading this right, we're going ever so slightly off course. Transferring readings to your console.
Got it. Damn. I think you're right. Jacob, change the pressure output of rocket output by plus 0.3%. Do not override the program, just change the one variable.
Done.
Good. I think it's working. We're compensating. Now, at my mark, switch everything back to the original program. Ready. Mark. Shut it down now.
Not responding.
It must have been sealed. With all the heat from the engine, the gas is escaping.
Jacob, you tell me you can't shut it down?
No, I can't. We can correct with the other rockets, can't we?
It's no longer under control. We couldn't begin to keep up the necessary corrections for a controlled maneuver. We need to shut that thing down.
Can we at least get the engine offline?
Sure, it won't do any good.
We need to seal the rocket off.
Registering serious malfunction in rocket systems. Recommend complete shutdown of maneuver until problem can be corrected. Autopilot program change.
That ought to buy us a few hours.
Maximum
The engine is hot but not firing. However, if we don't restart the maneuver soon, the engine will shut down completely.
Weren't we able to replenish our fuel before we started back?
Thanks to whoever built that alien structure, we actually have enough fuel to take us all the way back to New Terra. But that won't do us any good. If the engine shuts down now, it will take 2 months to get it going again.
We'd miss our window home. We'd have the power, but it would add another 8 years to the mission.
And we don't have enough oxygen and food for that.
So what can we do?
We have a decision to make. We all need to cool down for a moment. Secure your stations. Let's meet in the commons in 10 minutes. We have two options. We can either sell the rocket or miss our window home. It's that simple. Our parents left us with a clear set of priorities. If we choose to follow those, we must sell the rocket. As far as I'm concerned, our first priority is to bring this ship home.
I thought Diane said we couldn't shut the rocket down.
Shut it down? No. Stewart is talking about sealing it.
What's the difference?
The rocket can only be sealed manually.
No! We just fired the engine. Anyone going out there wouldn't last more than an hour.
That's the long and short of it.
We have at best 4 years of sustainable life support. As cold as this sounds, I think we should seal it now and make it home.
There's no other way?
No. I agree with Diane. We must do everything we can to get home. We have a mission to accomplish.
Let's not just blindly follow our mission plan. I think we have the right to choose in this case. Jacob had a point when he said we didn't sign up for this.
Jacob?
If we don't make it home, our lives will have meant nothing. I agree that it is our choice and that we shouldn't be influenced by some mission mandate written a century before we were born. However, 4 extra years for one of us would accomplish nothing.
I think that person would beg to differ.
Don't worry, Gordon. It won't be you. You don't have the necessary skills. And it won't be you either, Jacob. You're the only one who understands all the findings and can explain them to Earth. That leaves Diane and myself. I'm willing.
So am I.
I don't believe this. So we're just going to choose right here at this table which one of you is going to be dead in 3 hours?
I'm the mission commander. I'm also the most expendable. I really should go.
Stewart, that's not true.
You understand the navigation systems reasonably well. You know more about how this ship works than I ever will. The rest of you can pick up my tasks. Diane, you know I couldn't even begin to maintain the power systems on this ship. Then it's done. I will exit the ship at 1200 hours to conduct repairs in the aft section. Gordon, if you could give me something so I don't.
Never thought we'd need this stuff.
Jacob, go up to control and program a new maneuver to achieve the same results as the original. This time without the AF-4 rocket. You better hurry. Make sure the computer has enough time to finish the calculations. I'll be up there shortly.
Very well. Excuse me.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I should have inspected the aft rockets.
Let's not start this. It was the wrong decision made for the right reason. It was a fluke.
I should have known better.
I want to spend my final hours arguing about this.
I'm sorry. I love you, Stewart.
I also don't want to spend my final hours listening to you lie to me. Diane, I put everything I could into this marriage, but we both know it's been falling apart.
That doesn't mean I don't love you. What do you want from me?
The truth. There's no more time, Diane. There's nothing more to achieve. There's no more hurdles to cross. It's just you and me. Now let's be fully honest with each other.
All right. Maybe I've not been as happy lately. We got married so young, Stu. It was a clear fact of life. We were practically raised to be together. And lately,
It's all right.
I felt trapped. All I could think about was ending this journey, finally reaching home.
And ending our marriage.
Not necessarily.
Diane.
I'm being truthful. I really didn't know what I wanted. I
was just looking forward to the chance to make some choices in my life. You must be able to empathize with that.
I do. I felt the same way about a lot of things. Except our marriage. I imagined a life for us on that little blue planet. Even though all I had to go on were the telemovies and books.
You never fail to surprise me, Stu. So do I get to hear about this life?
I was going to become a salesman.
You, a salesman? Selling what?
Antiques. I figured I'd be an expert on the subject. We'd have a small shop in New York with an apartment overhead. It wouldn't make much money because I'd end up just talking the day away with the customers. You, of course, would eventually become restless and want to get back to engineering. Being tired of space, you'd become an expert in designing underwater craft. We would see the world. Having every continent. Having grown up in space would give us the ability to appreciate our planet for the marvel it must be. But as much as I wanted to live on that planet, to interact with new people, I couldn't imagine living that life without you by my side. And now I won't have to. My reality may be over, but I still have one perfect, untainted dream. And whether you love me or not, you're with me now.
Then why does it matter?
So we can free ourselves from the pettiness of life. I wanted once more to see you for who you really are. I wanted to tell you one more time how much I really love you. As long as you can look at me without putting on a false face, that's enough.
Then let me tell you truthfully that I do love you. It may not be in the way you would have it, but it's still love. Don't think for a minute I'll be able to close my eyes for a long time and not see your face. Don't think I won't cry myself to sleep every night.
Everything under control?
Computer's on it.
Can't believe this is happening.
This is just the beginning.
What's that supposed to mean?
Do I have to explain everything to you?
Not everything. Only what doesn't make sense.
To you? That would be everything.
Haven't you been paying attention? Stuart's about...
I know what he's going to do. But if you keep distracting me, I won't have these calculations done, and all of this will be for nothing.
You're a real piece of work, Jacob. You can just brush aside your feelings and deal with the issue at hand. Admirable.
If you have something to say to me, say it.
Don't you feel anything? I mean, the one person all three of us have known since the day we were born is going out into space and never coming back. Doesn't that affect you?
Great. Now that Stuart's about to die, you think you can inherit his holier-than-thou attitude. You can't see anything worthwhile in your own pitiful life, so you think that by preaching to me, you can make yourself feel better.
I don't have to listen to this.
Then what are you still doing here? Oh, that's right, I forgot. We're all stuck here on this flying piece of space garbage.
That's right. I have spent every day of my life trying to ignore your constant complaining and ridiculous attempts to get under my skin. And the way I'm feeling right now, getting under my skin isn't all that hard. But trust me, I wouldn't continue if I were you.
Are you two finished? I've only got a little while left. The least you could do is put me at the center of attention for a few measly hours. I think I've earned it. I'm dying. What the hell? But I wouldn't be going through with any of this if I thought it wouldn't do any good. I'm giving up my life for the three of you. Not our parents, not the mission. Now, when I go out there, I want to believe that this will work, that you will make it home. Promise me that.
Stuart,
Don't say anything. Just look at each other. Look at the four of us and know that at least one member of this family will set foot on the planet Earth. If we aren't the true definition of a family, then I don't know what is.
Rocket F4 SIL. The others all check out. You can begin the maneuver anytime. We've already said our goodbyes, but I just want you to remember, when you make it home, and you're standing on the ground, beneath the sky, beside the ocean, under the rainbow, don't forget this family. Don't forget each other. Stuart Utley, signing off.
Come in. Gordon,
Hello, Diane.
sit down. Would you like something to drink?
No, thank you. I have a favor to ask of you.
Is there something wrong in the medical bay? I did a full check
The
on all of that.
medical bay is fine.
It is?
Yes, never better.
Then what?
A favor.
A personal favor?
Yes and no. I want you to...
Yes.
I want you to break into a secured file for me.
What?
Jacob has locked out one of the files, Helen's paper. The one that led him to that cryptic transmission he was studying before Stuart died.
I remember. Have you asked him?
No.
Then aren't you being a little premature?
If he didn't mind me seeing it, then he wouldn't have locked it out.
Yes, and I don't see why that shouldn't be left up to him.
We aren't talking about his personal journal here, Diane. Those papers should be available to all of us.
I won't do it. Even if I thought your request was justified, there is no way to break into secured files.
You're an engineer. There's always a way.
I'm not looking for it. I suggest you try asking Jacob. If you're right and this is a legitimate request, then Jacob should allow you access.
This is a legitimate request. Unfortunately, Jacob just won't talk to me.
I could ask him.
It won't work.
It's better than trying to break into his personal files.
Call a meeting.
A meeting?
It's been 3 weeks since Stuart died. All three of us have been cooped up in our own little areas. We've barely said a word to each other. If we have a meeting, it might get Jacob out of the research room for a while so we can talk to him. At the very least, he can explain why he's doing this.
That sounds remarkably reasonable. Weren't you just advocating glorified theft a moment ago?
I saw the look on your face. I know when you can't be swayed. I'm just trying to satisfy your conditions.
I've missed you, Gordon. It's a good idea. These last few weeks have been so... I keep replaying that last moment with Stu in my mind. I can deal with it. It's just that everything seems to remind me of him. Since we made the last maneuver, I haven't had much work. Nothing to take my mind off. How bad do you really want to read that report?
Well, I am kind of curious.
You're not curious, you're evil.
Okay. What's this about?
Jacob, we haven't seen you in 3 weeks, and that's the best you can do?
We have some business to discuss. Let's just sit down, relax.
Okay. We've all sat down. What's this about?
Well, for starters, let's just chat.
I could go on about the weather. But since our air handling system is computer controlled, it wouldn't serve much purpose. Look, I have a lot of work to do, so can we get on with this?
Would you like to tell us about it?
About what?
Your work.
Oh, that? No.
Come on, Jacob. It's just the three of us. Something interesting has had you locked up in that research room for weeks. We just want to know what's going on. We don't need a detailed report, but we'd like to know what you've been doing.
It's complicated. Look, I'll let you read my final report when I'm done.
Can we read something else in the meantime?
I hear Dickens is pretty good.
I was referring to Helen Gibbs' report.
Oh, yes. Well, like I said, I'll let you read my final report. It will include all the side papers and analyses at that point. For now, the last thing I need is someone looking over my shoulder. That's why I locked all of that out.
Jacob, since when have we ever looked over your shoulder?
I forgot. Big sister never watches over me. Look, this has been fun, but I have a lot of work to do. So if you'll excuse me?
No, I will not excuse you. Sit down. It's not the only business we have today. About a week ago, I went through all of Stuart's personal effects and files. There are some journal entries I think each of you ought to see. I've granted you access to those files. They're in his personal directory. I'll let the journals speak for themselves.
Play earliest telejournal entry of Stuart Utley I'm authorized to see. Voice print authorization, Jacob Rainwater.
Telejournal. Day 387 since awakening. I began programming the control computer for our last maneuver today. It was amazing. I mean, I've done this a million times, but knowing that this is the last course correction that will finally have us on a path for Earth. I bumped into Jacob today. Something wasn't quite right about him. He looked as though Someone just told him he had a terminal illness or something. Diane keeps telling me she thinks Jacob will come around after the maneuver, that he will finally begin looking forward to going home. I just hope he does. I must admit, I really like Jacob. He's stubborn, arrogant, and a real pain in the butt sometimes, but he's honest and determined. He has a work ethic I've never seen. The man needs to give himself a break. There's so much to enjoy in life. I only wish he could see that. It's by far the worst of human emotions. It's hard to control or change. And it also pops up almost at random. I can feel friendship and respect for Gordon. At the same time, I'm insanely jealous of him. The last thing I want is for this to come between Gordon and me. I think Diane can see that. But what can she do? The telemovies all seem packed with the message, go with your heart. Then, for those on the losing end, there's always more fish in the sea. Unfortunately, the Ludington is more of a fishbowl. I've asked myself many times, could I be happy if Diane left me for Gordon? I can't answer that. I hope I can get past that. But then there's that part of me that doesn't want to find out. It's the price I paid for falling in love.
Come in, Gordon. I take it you saw the telejournal.
Why?
It was necessary.
I see.
Maybe we should talk about this after you've had a chance to calm down.
Oh, no. You sprung this on me. Don't try to pass the buck. I want to talk about this now.
Now you're angry.
You're damn right I'm angry. What could you possibly expect to have accomplished by that?
I thought Stu would have wanted you to see it.
Are you just making this up as you go along?
You don't know. I do. Stu wanted the truth.
Oh, I see. You're Stu's widow. That means you knew him much better than I did. So now I suppose you think you're the only one who grieved for him when he died, that I couldn't care less. Well, let me tell you, Mrs. Utley, your husband was the closest friend I ever had. His death tore me apart. My last few weeks have been filled with nothing but grief and guilt. I was finally breaking out of that. I was finally getting ready to go on with my life. And then you go show that.
I'm sorry. I've been going through the same things. Only a week ago could I bring myself to look through his files. When I saw that one, I spent an hour just crying. I felt so guilty. Before he died, Stuart told me that he wanted the truth out, all of it. At first, I didn't want you to see it. Later, I realized that if I truly accepted the fact that he was gone, I'd have to show you the telejournal. It was a way to put some finality to that part of our lives.
So now, what are we supposed to do? Go go off on our merry way and pretend he never existed? I can't do that.
I'm not asking you to. Don't you get it? You're the crew welfare expert. Didn't Doc Claire teach you anything about how to deal with loss?
She never got to that part. Look, I realize you had good intentions. This is going to take me some time to work out. I'll be in the medical bay if you need anything.
This is your meeting, Jacob.
We're only a few months away from Earth orbit. I believe it is time that we start to plan the specifics of our approach.
That's thoughtful, Jacob, but all of that was planned out a long time ago.
I doubt Earth still operates under the same procedures it did 300 years ago. Now, I've been monitoring the RF frequencies, and the Luddington has been sending out its standard greeting. 2 weeks ago, I received a text message from Earth. I updated them on our situation, and they have devised a new approach plan.
Jacob, why didn't you tell us this before?
I only got the final details a few days ago. I wanted to finalize my investigation, make sure everything was authentic.
Are there any problems?
None that I could see. They seem pleased to have us back.
Wow, this is great!
You're completely serious. You actually talked to them?
We've been sending text messages. There are still several hours of delay time, even within the solar system.
This is the first good thing to happen to us in a long time. Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob. This new approach plan?
Originally, we were supposed to dock with a station in low Earth orbit, board the station, and go home. They have a more complicated spaceport system now. They want us to adjust our trajectory, rockets only, for a much higher orbit. They plan to grab the ship with this amazing rocket assembly to slow it down. They're not sure about the structural integrity of the Luddington, so they want us to first leave by two-man shuttles. They believe it'll be safer that way.
That makes sense, I suppose. I'm going to want to see all the documentation.
Of course. I'll make a file and leave it in your directory. Well, this is what you both wanted.
Hard at work?
I'll say. For some reason, my work just got a lot more fun.
What are you doing exactly?
I'm running a testing procedure I just came up with on the maneuvering rockets. We need to fire them soon, and I don't want any problems like we had the last time.
I think we ought to have a celebration. An evening in honor of our first contact with home.
Sounds great. Good luck getting Jacob to go along.
I had something a little more private in mind. Tomorrow night, 1900, my cabin.
Gordon Meisenheimer, you are something else.
Would you care to qualify that?
The atmosphere, the mood, it's all so perfect.
Perfect would have had a real candle, but burning things on the ship is generally a bad idea.
Well, aside from that, it's perfect. How long have you been planning this?
That's a secret. Would you care to dance?
I have no clue how.
Neither do I. But you had to have seen at least a couple romantic telemovies. They always slow dance right after dinner.
Here goes nothing. These last 3 days have been incredible. And they keep getting better by the minute.
Well, I guess that's not too hard, considering we're at an all-time low not too long ago.
None of that. Our world is here, right now. It doesn't go into the past or the future. It doesn't extend beyond this room. That's all we should care about.
I've been looking for you all morning. I wanted us to go over these rocket thrust figures together. Where were you?
I spent the night in Gordon's cabin. I think we may really have something. Jacob, I want to thank you.
For what?
For all the work you've done. Ever since you told us that you made contact, I can't even describe it. I'm a different woman. I've finally gotten over the guilt and the anger of the past year. And now, I can't believe this, but I've fallen in love.
I'm happy for you.
Jacob, I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't think. It must be tough not having anyone to be with. Luck would have it that the original group would produce only one female, and she would end up being your sister. But just you wait, little brother. Once we get back home, there isn't going to be a woman on the whole planet who will be able to resist that charming scowl and brilliant mind of yours.
Thank you. Can we go up to control now?
After correcting for the missing rockets, our numbers match to well within the error margin. This should work. Now, I want to finish checking the rockets. That should be my top priority.
I agree.
Oh my. Jacob, it's the GBT monitor.
I've been expecting it. It's just some confirmation data. I'll acknowledge it from research.
What's the GBT?
Ground-based transmission. That monitor displays various alert lights. Each color has a different meaning. Orange is very special. It's the GBT alert. It means that a properly coded message has just been received from command base on Earth.
It can't mean anything else?
Not if it's orange, no. Well, I'm sure it can be sent from anywhere by now, and the code is likely declassified. It was developed 300 years ago. But rest assured, it's from humans. The indicator was designed as a quick way to verify contact with Earth.
I've seen it before.
What do you mean you've seen it before?
I mean that monitor, that orange light. It just went out.
Yes, Jacob acknowledged the contact from research. Once contact has been established, the indicator goes off. When did you think you saw this?
I did see it, Diane. Remember the day you were working maintenance, when Stu left me here alone to assist you?
You saw this then?
Yes, for a couple of minutes. And then it went out, just like it did a moment ago. I dismissed it as part of the routine maintenance work. It didn't look alarming or anything.
Gordon, that makes no sense. If what you're saying is true, that means someone acknowledged a signal from Earth. I sure as hell didn't.
Neither did I.
You don't think Stu...
You know who I think.
Gordon, it's been over 6 months. Maybe the light was red and you didn't realize it.
Okay, what does red mean?
Hull breach. Okay, it wasn't red.
We have proof now.
Proof of what?
He's lied to us. It's time we do something, Diane.
I'll talk to him.
Remember what I asked you to do a while back?
Do you remember how I responded?
He's hoarding information. He's lying to us about contacts from Earth. He's trusting us to believe him when he says we're supposed to change our course. I don't know about you, but I'm going to have a hard time sleeping until I know what's going on.
Breaking into his files is not an option. My area of expertise is hardware. I'd set off red flags all over the place before I could even see the file names.
I know a way.
How? Have you become a decryption expert in your spare time?
The same way you got into Stu's files.
Stu was dead.
Exactly.
Gordon, you're not...
You misunderstand. I'm not saying he has to actually be dead. All we have to do is convince the computer he is. I'll make up the death certificate, you witness it. At that point, all of Jacob's files are transferred to his next of kin. You.
I can't. I won't.
Diane, look at this objectively. This has got to scare you. We have a right to know what he's hiding.
How do I know you didn't just make this up?
Look at me, Diane. I know this is hard for you. I can't give you anything concrete to prove what I'm saying. All I can give you is my word. If you look into my eyes and still doubt me, then I won't press you on this anymore.
I'll do it. On one condition. You promise me that you won't take advantage of this situation.
I won't do any, what's the term? Fishing, if that's what you mean.
One more thing. Once I witness the death certificate, you're on your own. I can't do any more than that. He is my brother.
Fair enough. We'll meet in the medical bay at 2300.
It's already past midnight. We've been here over an hour.
If we pronounce him dead while he's working, the computer's going to get very confused. It may even alert him to what we're doing.
You didn't tell me you'd be monitoring his bio readings.
I'm only looking for sleep indicators. Doing another scan now.
Subject's bio readings are normal. Subject is asleep.
There we go. He's in dreamland now. Writing up death certificate.
Witness verification required. Witness must repeat statement on screen and verify with voice print.
I confirm that one Jacob Samuel Rainwater is now deceased. I observed the body and concur with the opinion of the medical examiner. Voice print authorization, Diane Rainwater Utley.
Voice print accepted.
It's done. I'll be sure to withdraw the death certificate by the morning. He'll probably find out anyway, but it can't hurt to try.
Fine. There. I've given you access to all of his files. Remember what we talked about. I'm going now. Good night, Gordon.
No. No. Come on, where are you? No. That's not it. Hello. What is this?
I'm so sorry, Jacob. I hope you can forgive me. I suppose it had to be done. At least it may be able to show that you haven't been lying to us.
This is it.
GBT message loading.
Crew of the SS Ludington. I'm Frank Boltinghouse, a junior engineer with the Ludington Retrieval Project on Mars. Right now, your spacecraft and our colony comprise all that remains of our species.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just so taken with Gordon, I'll believe anything he says just because he wants me to. Love does strange things to you. Maybe someday you'll find that out for yourself. You and Gordon are the only two people in my world, and I love both of you very dearly.
This is the legacy of your mission. I can at least take the pleasure in knowing you will die soon after you arrive here. This message is to ensure that the deaths of these 8 billion people are indeed on your conscience as you begin your eternal damnation.
Sleep well. Don't worry, Jacob. We'll be home soon.
Who's there? Come in. Diane, did you find what you were looking for?
I did. And I was right. The course correction Earth requested was given to us by Jacob. If there wasn't a rendezvous, the new course would allow the ship to make it out of the solar system without having to fire the engines.
Why is that important?
The Luddington was designed to use disposable, highly maneuverable booster rockets for interplanetary acceleration. Both sets were used up a long time ago. The main engines are too unstable to maneuver within a star system. This is the only way he'll be able to make it back to New Terra.
And he concocted this story so he can leave us stranded in a shuttle?
We would only further deplete the life support system. With only one person, the Luddington could sustain life support long enough for him to prep one of the hibernation units for the long trip back. In a century or so, he would have his whole life ahead of him, and all of his needs taken care of by that alien trap.
We were going to do it. We were going to joyfully fly into oblivion, expecting to see paradise. I don't know what's worse. The fact that Jacob was willing to kill us to extend his own sorry existence, or that at this point, I don't really care.
What are we supposed to do, Gordon?
Nothing.
If I don't cooperate, Jacob will realize that we know the truth. What do you think he'll do then?
Please don't misunderstand. I have no wish to die.
What do you want then?
I want to keep the promise that I made to Stuart. I want to walk on the ground and look up at the sky. I want to go home, Diane. That's what I want.
Then let's do it.
We've done enough.
I'm serious, Gordon. We can fool him. It'll be tricky, but we can keep the ship on course for Earth. Jacob won't know the difference. He'll be trapped here. He'll die alone and broken.
So, what then? We die an hour after landing from toxic exposure. There's nothing left, Diane. What difference does it make?
It's better than the death Jacob would have for us.
I'm sorry.
For what?
I started this. If I hadn't been so suspicious, we wouldn't even know. Now look at you. You're worse than I was.
You didn't do this to me. We still have time. We know the truth. We now have the chance to carve out one last bit of happiness for ourselves. I'll admit, I am so tired of lies, suspicions, and confrontations that sometimes I just want to lie down and wait for the end. But part of me is so angry. I can't just let the circumstances dictate that my life is over. I can't let Jacob use our deaths as a means to save his own skin. I want him to see what it's like from our side.
Do you know what you're saying?
What the hell does that mean?
All I'm asking is if you're truly prepared to deal with the consequences of what you're proposing.
Yes. You're right, Gordon. I am different. I don't care if the means are just. I only care about the life we have left. And if that means leading my Jacob to his death, then so much the better. Come.
You sent for me?
I figured it out. Look at this display. This is our current heading. This is the result of the course change Jacob wants. Now, I've completed all of the calculations and told Jacob exactly how we are going to fire the rockets.
What's that?
That is the result of an opposite course correction. As you can see, it will put us into a decaying orbit around Earth, which is what we're going to do.
That's nice and all, but won't Jacob notice the force is pushing us the wrong way?
Not if we turn the ship around first.
Turn the ship around?
Late tonight, I will burn 2 side rockets. One forward, one aft. Once we're in position, I'll fire the opposites. We'll be completely turned around.
How do we do this without Jacob's knowledge?
That's your department.
Jacob?
I haven't seen you in here for a while.
This isn't a social visit.
I'm hurt.
I'm doing my final write-ups on the medical status of the remaining crew. After the maneuver, I'd like you to come in for a full physical.
I bet you would.
This is serious, Jacob. You've ignored your health too long. For all I know, something may be wrong.
Am I supposed to believe you actually care?
No. As a person, I couldn't care less. As a member of this crew, I definitely care. When we get back to Earth, I'm expected to include full medical reports on everyone. You have to do this.
Look, it's my body. I'll let you know if I think there's anything wrong.
Now you listen to me. You will report for a physical. This is as important for me as research is for you.
How do I know you won't use the opportunity to do something to me?
This is pointless. I guess you're right. If you don't care about your health, why should I? It's done. He should be out cold by 2300.
You really think you're clever, don't you, Gordon?
What do you mean?
I know what you're planning. Did you really think I wouldn't see through this?
Stop being paranoid.
If you only knew what was really going on here, you'd realize how petty all of this really is. But you don't know, and I can see the nervous look on your face. I know you poisoned my tea.
I did no such thing.
You're also a bad liar, Gordon.
What are you talking about?
You poisoned my tea. I know. I did a toxicology screen on my blood an hour ago. You're really not cut out for this, are you? If you're gonna poison me, why not go all the way? Is it because you're scared my sister won't want you anymore?
Don't you dare.
Or maybe you just wanted to get me to submit for a physical so you could have me under your knife? Well, I'll have you know, I'll die before I ever let you touch me, Gordon. And mark my words, you get near me again, you'll regret it.
Oh my God. I thought...
So did I. We did it, Diane. Now, let's go home. It seems you had pleasant dreams. I wish I would have been this blessed.
I love you, Gordon. I'm so scared.
You're not alone.
I did have a pleasant dream. We were older, I'd say in our 40s. We had a family. Mom and Dad were over. Your parents were there. We all went for a walk in the snow. And you held me as we went out into the woods, just the two of us. We sat down next to a 200-year-old willow tree. It kept getting colder, but we just held each other tighter until I fell asleep in your arms. It was so peaceful.
Did you check everything?
I finished the program last night. When we leave in the shuttle, the displays will begin to show the real images from the outside. Jacob will then know that he's in Earth orbit. It hasn't all quite sunk in yet.
Everything's set. There's no more to do. Diane, are you all right?
You reminded me of Stuart just then. Now I understand.
What?
Realizing that there's nothing more to do.
We still have a few hours.
Launch set for 5 minutes.
We're ready to go, Jacob. Diana's in the shuttle. I just came up here to confirm everything.
You're clear to leave. The rendezvous vessel is standing by. Is that all?
And I wanted to make absolutely certain that killing you with my bare hands would give me no pleasure. However, knowing what I know, let's just say the act wouldn't be as satisfying.
I look forward to seeing you again, too.
When we get to Earth, I hope I never see you again. Goodbye, Jacob Rainwater.
Farewell, Gordon Meisenheimer.
All systems prepare for alternate approach plan Rainwater Echo 3 Tango. Shuttle in standby mode.
10 seconds to shuttle launch.
Returning to primary external sensors.
What the? What am I looking at?
Planet Earth.
That's not possible.
Pre-program message Meisenheimer Uniform 5 Foxtrot loading.
Crew of the SS Luddington. I'm Frank Boltinghouse, a junior engineer with the Luddington Retrieval Project on Mars. Right now, your spacecraft and our colony comprise all that remains of our species. My superiors ordered me not to make this transmission. However, my superiors are all dead now, as I will be soon. 2 years ago, alien spacecraft came into our solar system. They brought with them images of your life on another world, a world they own. They could communicate in English, and they told us that they took care of you while they studied you. Your incessant curiosity upset them. They felt that humanity might one day try to colonize that world. They told us that their claim on that world was ancient. They felt that we were trespassing on their territory. That was 6 months ago. Today, there is not a human being alive on the face of the earth. Those of us on Mars are enjoying our final hours as our life support system fails. Many have thought of returning to Earth. Some did. They died within moments of setting foot on what used to be their home. This is the legacy of your mission. I can at least take the pleasure in knowing you will die soon after you arrive here. This message is to ensure that the deaths of these 8 billion people are indeed on your conscience as you begin your eternal damnation.
I wanted you to see that one more time. It is so fitting for you. I hope you realize what the choices in your life got you. Look around at where you are, who you're with, and how you'll die. Diane and I are going down to Earth. We promised Stuart that we would make it home. We won't have much time. The planet is clearly still contaminated with the biotoxin that killed everyone several years ago. But we'll have each other. When I look at all that has happened, including the soon-to-be complete extinction of our species, I realize that only one thing matters to me. I can never forgive you for what you did to her.
Orbit decay continuing. Impact with atmosphere in 10 minutes.
No! Oh, this can't be happening. I was in control. I was in control. I am in control.
you thought about it much?
Earth? Yeah, I've thought about it.
There are times when it seems so far away that I have a hard time believing it's even real.
In the vacuum of space, they lived their whole lives, the last stage in the living legacy of the greatest adventure in human history.
We are going to bring home, firsthand, irrefutable evidence of intelligent alien life in the universe.
But even as the fateful rendezvous with their ancestral planet Earth nears, one scientist is determined to solve the mystery that drew their parents to the stars in the first place.
You have a real drive, a desire.
He has a work ethic I've never seen.
Something interesting has had you locked up in that research room for weeks.
But what is revealed will tear them apart.
What would you say now, Gordon?
He's hoarding information. He's lying to us about contacts from Earth. I don't know about you, but I'm going to have a hard time sleeping until I know what's going on.
Shut it down now!
You don't know. I do.
They got to live out the rest of their lives in the lap of alien luxury, while we're going to do the truly hard part of the mission and get blamed for its obvious failure.
I can't just let the circumstances dictate that my life is over.
There's no more time, Diane.
You get near me again, you'll regret it.